Good morning, my name's Danny Lodge. I'm the operations manager here in Middlesbrough. We have two guys from Holme House Prison with us, David and Adam.
I'm Dave Winterskill, I'm the custodial manager at HMP Holme House. I've been there over 30 years now, done a variety of roles. At the moment I'm in charge of the PE department, but prior to that I was in charge of the Therapeutic community, which is a drug rehabilitation unit on House Block 6. And this is how we've got involved with Van Leeuwen and the project that we run at Holme House, which I'll discuss about later on.
I'm Adam Norman. I've been a prison officer for 22 years. I had 10 years on the landings and then transferred into PE. When Dave came on board as our manager, I kind of was interested in what he did with the animals and wanted to get involved in it. And since then, we've just gone from strength to strength, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's just another interesting part of the job.
Can you just give us a bit of a background on Holme House Prison?
Yeah, we're a Cat C establishment. We hold 1,200 prisoners, mostly from the northeast area, but we go as far as Liverpool, Manchester, Leeds. So because of the population pressures we do take from out of area. The prison is a training prison where all the lads we have living there go to work each day. We have different workshops. They all go to education, different programs and projects that we're running. We have a pipe unit for mental health prisoners. We have a drug therapeutic program for prisoners who are drug addicts or trying to get away from drugs. So we cater for varied difference in prisoners, of their backgrounds, where they come from, their lives, and hopefully looking for some successes along the way. It's difficult with prisons to get that, but I think that we do have more success stories than some of the establishments in the northeast.
Neurodiversity is becoming massive now as well, isn't it? Trying to figure out what complicated needs prisoners have, and that's coming on board now, where we need to find out whether they're ADHD, whether they're autistic, and how we'll work with them better, not just to lock them up and kind of put them back out.
As the same.
Yeah, so that's becoming a massive piece of our work.
So the partnership between Van Leeuwen and HMP Holme House, I started Van Leeuwen in May 2023, and when I first come on board, this initiative was already ongoing. We do have one of our employees who does have a family member in HMP, so it was at a small scale, I would say, at a smaller scale than it certainly is now. In my previous roles in other businesses, I've worked closely with communities, and I just found this one really, really interesting. So me and another colleague of mine jumped on board as well and tried to promote it and support it as much as we can. I don't know if these guys could give us a bit of a background before my time. I don't know if there's...
Yeah, I think it was by luck really that, because I knew Steve, who works here, I knew his brother from years ago playing football, and because we're starting up the animal therapy, he's into budgies and parakeets and cockatiels, and he got in touch with us and said, look Dave, I've got some stuff if you're interested. So we met up and I said to him, but we're really struggling, we can't build cages, we haven't got the materials that we need to push the project forward. And by luck, Terry spoke to Steve, and then Steve got in touch with us and said, look, we might be able to help you. So we came along, spoke, we started getting some timber, and we just absolutely, it snowballed absolutely massively. But it was by luck really that it was just from somebody I knew 40 years ago, and it was just amazing how things happen.
Footballer.
Yeah.
Could you just give us some background on the educational and the recreational programs that's involved in this? Is there any examples, or is there...
You do this one.
Yeah, okay. So House Block 6 is a therapeutic community that we hold 155 prisoners on there, and so there's educational stuff going on, and it's working with people who are addicted to drugs and have been addicted all their lives, or they're involved in selling drugs and stuff like that. So to get something to use the time up and use the time up well is things that we're always looking to do with them. the caring for the animals, the building new shelters for the animals, and it's something that they've never had before, where they've got that responsibility of actually that is theirs, and that's how we try to have the project, that they're responsible for all the animal project, building the houses, watering them, cleaning them, making sure that they're fit and healthy. So that is a big part of what we do with the drug therapeutic community. We also have, we grow their own vegetables, so we try to be self-sufficient. So we have two big units where the polytunnels. So the lads in charge of the polytunnels putting the vegetables in, so we can feed our animals with lettuces, carrots, etc., etc. But it gives them
it's a sense of well-being, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and that purpose. They look at it and it's something that they've achieved, and that's a massive thing for us. But without the support of Danny and Van Leeuwen, we won't be able to do that, because everything's so tight budgets, and it's the way things are with Ministry of Justice. To get that timber, put those houses, and when you look at it now, it's absolutely, I wish you could see it, it's absolutely fantastic, and the quality of it is absolutely brilliant, and it's all down to Van Leeuwen, because we couldn't do it. The project would have failed 2 years ago, because it was getting to the stage where I was bag stealing, borrowing everything I could for the project, but there was no major support, and as I say, Van Leeuwen came along, and we've just gone from strength to strength, and now we're even planning for this year, our next, we've got a big project. We're going to build a big winter house where we can put all the animals, because at the moment we have little houses dotted about, and that's a massive thing for us, that we can plan ahead, and that's with the help of Danny and the team.
As well as the learning and development, how do these programmes benefit all your inmates?
So we found if prisoners engage in something and complete different programmes, if they're structured, it gives them a 37% less likely to a chance to reoffend when released. So giving them purposeful activity, actually they learn how to structure the day, how to think forward, and if they can do that, they're not acting on the spur of the moment. So we found if prisoners act on the spur of the moment inside prison, when they get out, they tend to do the same.
Yeah.
So if they're in for violence or whatever, if something happens, they react quickly and not think of the consequences.
Yeah.
Where if they've done something structured, they've planned for goals, and they think about what they're going to do, and that helps them then less likely to reoffend.
It's quite unique having prisoners living in a community that they're in charge of. We enable, but they are in charge of their own community. So they have their own sanctions, they have their meetings on a morning, so they'll plan their day, so that they'll all have the meeting, the prisoners will lead the meeting, and so everybody will get a job to do, and it's giving them that well-being of working as a team but taking instruction, because sometimes to say to a prisoner, you will do this or you won't do that a red rag to a bull. So by having a prisoner telling a prisoner, which they've never done before, it gives them that, and that's what they use when they get out in the community, that it could be a negative, but they won't react negatively to it. So the programme is all about working together and changing the ways of ours have always lived. The easiest thing for them to do is get out of prison, go and recommit crime and come back to prison, because it gives them a structure. But it's a negative structure, where we want to give them that positive structure, not to take drugs, no violence, help each other, and get employment. And that's a massive one, trying to get employment. That stigma of being in prison with employees, that's what we're trying to change. And by the project that we do, we have family days now, when all the families come in, visitors come in, or the governors come in. We're trying to get more business people to come in. They can see the quality. Just because someone's gone to prison, some people have gone to prison because they've just been unlucky. We've got so many good, skilled prisoners in there, electricians, plumbers, bricklayers. Doesn't mean to say because you made one mistake in your life that you should never get another chance. Yeah. So and that's what we're building on, just to change people's, when they come in, they can see the quality of what they can do. And when Danny's come in and spoke to the lads that are working on the project, I think you were quite impressed.
Amazed. The enthusiasm about it, and the dedication to it as well, and the teamwork that you have with the inmates, it was incredible to see. really incredible to see.
I think sometimes some prisoners will want to just to sit in the pads all day and do very, very little. But what you've got to remember is that the lads that we use and the lads that have that work ethic used to work sometimes 6-7 days a week.
Yeah.
You know, they've been scaffolders, brickers, landscapers, sparkers. They've led a normal life. However, they've just done illegal things on the side of working normal. So what they don't want to do is come to prison and sit in a prison cell or go to education. They want to use the skills and keep skilled. One of our lads has just helped another drug programme doing some landscaping, and he loved it, didn't he?
Yeah.
And you can sort of see the passion in him, and then that passion, it's sort of like built him back up again. And then when he just built that bug house in 2 days, you can see him again, can't you? He's like elated again because he's achieved something like positive again. And that's what keeps them going.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be invited by these two chaps into their prison. I've never been in a prison in my life. I've never been in that environment. Seen plenty of programmes about it, and when me and Russell went, we were blown away by it. Just there was a couple of guys waiting for us who were part of the project, and the passion for what they do, and so enthusiastic and so thankful for it as well, for what we help them achieve as well. It's just an all round.
Massive, so.
It's a real positive initiative for me. So is having a structured routine important for rehab?
I think right across, and I'm talking about people with drug addictions and things, but when you look at everybody in prison, because they need a structure, because it's very easy to lay in your bed all day and get up, and we have them where they'll sleep all day and then they're up all night and causing trouble and stuff. So it's to get them out of that negativity of and give them something purposeful to do, whether it's getting up to go to education, whether it's coming down the gymnasium, getting up to go on the exercise yard. Because you find a lot of prisoners, they rely on us to structure their day. So we tell them when to get up, we tell them when to go for the meals, we tell them when to go for a shower, we tell them, and it's getting them out of that, where now we have a different thing at Holme House where we reward lads for what they do in the day. So we have everybody is a minimum of part-time work. So you could go to work on a Monday morning, but you can go to the gym on a Monday afternoon, or you can go to exercise, or you can go to the library, or you can. So if you're participating in work, then you get the rewards of. Every other establishment that I know, they get roughly 2 sessions or 3 sessions a week of gymnasium. We give them 5. So if you go to work every morning or every afternoon, you can come down to the gym in your own time. And it gives them that structure of, you must do something to gain something. So if you go to work, you can come down the gym. But if you don't go to work, you can't come down the gym. And it's that it's changing their mindset of what they can do and what they can't do. We want them to think for themselves, but we want to reward good behaviour. And rewarding good behaviour then gets them engaging in education, in workshops, in doing something different, and then trying to find something that's going to benefit them when they get released. Because that's our main, we don't want people coming back to prison. I think at the moment we've got about 86,000 people in prison. A couple of months ago we had 500 spaces throughout the country available. And the pressure of prison places is massive. We're having to build new prisons, massive prisons, because there's more and more people coming to. We need to get people out of prison, not just filling prisons up, sitting in prisons. And so I think we are a prison that works very hard to do something different. By doing something like this project, by getting a prisoner building on an exercise yard, landscaping and stuff like that. Our prison looks so much different to every other prison, and I'm not just saying that because I work there, but I've seen it for 30 odd years. I've been in Franklin, I've been in Durham, I've been in many prisons, and our prison looks so much different to every other prison because we're trying to make a difference. We have animals, so you can look out your cell window and you'll see a couple of ducks or a couple of chickens walking about, pecking at the grass. You can look from the other side, you'll see rabbits, you'll see guinea pigs. We've got budgie regards, we've got a big pond with carp in. So even though you're in prison, you can look out and you can see some normality.
Yeah, another departments use these areas as well, don't they? So if mental health are working with people that are particularly difficult, they might take them in the summer to sit around the pond and just that different. You're not just sat in a cell or in an office. You sat in the open, looking at something that's pleasant to look at, rather than it being dull. And I think when you came to us,
Yeah.
even in the winter, it doesn't look that dull.
Yeah, I was just going to mention there the pond. I remember seeing the pond, and this was all handmade as well, wasn't it? All
Hand dug.
Hand dug, and it's quite a size. It is quite a size.
Built with 3
And
shovels.
it's got a lovely bridge over the top, and it's the outside area is just it's fantastic to see. And like Dave said, there you got chickens just wandering around. I remember when I first went in, I was looking about, thinking, bloody ducks wandering about, and it's just amazing to see.
And what we aim to do now as well with the animals that have donated to us or we rescue is that rather than keep them in small hutches, we try and give them big areas where they're happier. And that's what we did with the tortoises, wasn't it? We had one tortoise living in like a castle, and then we've rescued another 4. So when they go outside in the summer, we have a huge outside area which people love to come and look just to watch them. The guinea pigs have a huge place. We've now got 2 terrapins that he's got his own pyramid house. It's all enclosed in. You can't imagine
They're
it.
living the life, aren't they?
Yeah, they live the best life now.
Just going back to the structure as well, Adam. For the inmates following the structure, did you see a 37% reduction in reoffending as well?
Yeah.
So that's really impressive.
And plus, the beauty about the animals, and we don't just have the animals for the sake, even though we work with Stockton Council and we do rehome a lot of animals, but we have family visits where the children come in and the dads will be with the children. We take the animals down to the visits hall so they can spend time with the animals as well. And we did have a barn owl that lived till 8 years old, and that's an old age. We used to take the owl down, and the children used to have the pictures with the dads taken with the owl and stuff. So the benefits of animal therapy is massive, and the kids love it. But that gives it that bonding as well between the family visits, between the fathers who they haven't seen for quite a while. There's so many strengths to what we do with the project.
What does a typical day, a day in the life of an inmate look like?
So on the TC unit, on the Therapeutic Community Unit, 8 o'clock unlock, and then attend a community meeting in the morning, where they'll discuss what the jobs are for the day. Everyone has a job on the structured programme. 8:30, there'll be cleaning, there'll be groups that start, there'll be store collections to collect, the laundry will need doing. They have peer support on there as well, whichever issues they have. At 9:30, 9:45, they'll come to the gym in the morning, and then they can also come in the afternoon. They'll have time to go to the library. 11:45, lunch is served, so they have the lunch. They collect the lunch from the servery, but then they have to eat in the cells. They did try before, didn't they, eating out, but it's just so difficult to do that, which it would be good to see again, wouldn't it, in the future?
Yeah.
So then they have the lunch, so they lock back up. About 1:20, the afternoon starts. There's another community meeting. They go on the exercise yards. They'll have more groups to do, and then the community activities until 4 o'clock. And 4 o'clock, they're locked back up again. And then they'll have the evening meal at 5 o'clock. Once they have their evening meal, they're locked again for their evening. On the evening, they could play pool, table tennis, come back down to the gym if they're full-time workers, and then around 7 o'clock, it's time to go behind the cell doors for the rest of the evening.
We actually took Danny and Russ in, and we put Danny in a cell. We were going to leave him there. So Danny, and I don't know how you felt about going on houseboat, because obviously for some people, it's, and we just walked onto the houseboat. All the lads were still out, and so I don't know how you felt about.
It was a real eye opener for me, I must be honest. But it was something I'm intrigued by as well, and just seeing the few guys that we met. I think there was 4 of them, and it was lunchtime at the time, and the guys got called back in for lunch, and David took us down his wing, if you like. We walked through and I was just standing there like, wow, this is real. And one of the guys who I had met, he was coming back with his lunch, and he invited us into his cell. So I went and stood in his cell, and a fantastic bloke, really good, just a down-to-earth, genuine man who was maybe made a wrong choice in life or whatever it was. But it was just really interesting just to be in that surroundings and seeing what goes on and seeing the fantastic work these two do. Can you just explain how support from an organisation like Van Leeuwen benefits your prison,
I
Holme
think
House
like,
Prison?
like Dave's already said, without your support, what we do would stop immediately. We've seen it happen before when the wood starts to get low and morale goes down, heads start
I
dropping.
think you see that on every visit.
The realism comes in that these lads are going to stop what they're doing.
Yeah.
And with that, if it did stop, we'd lose lots, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
It'd be a massive, it'd be, even for us to see what they do, and to think we couldn't even maintain what Dave's already started. It'd be awful, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And I think for me, and I'm not just saying it because Danny said it here, Bannerlewin are absolutely fantastic to be, because a lot of companies, because it's prison and the stigma with it, that they don't really want to be involved. And when you see the lads and the work that they've done, and the little bug house that we brought this morning, we showed them the plans that the children have done for those, and so for them it's giving something back as well. For them it gives them a purpose on the morning to get up, and every time we do something I'll take the pictures of the work that they've done and I'll go back and show them. We'll build a portfolio, and it just gives them that sense of they are giving something back and they are achieving something, working towards their release. But there's not enough companies like Bannerlewin for me that want to stick the necks out and get involved and commit. And like I said at the start, without the support, the project would have folded. I've been involved in it 5 years since we started the animal therapy, and we went through having like people donating like old dog kennels and bits and pieces, and gradually we rebuilt everything, and it looks so. And now we've started, the last 2 years we have family staff visits coming in. We wouldn't have done that 3 years ago, or we wouldn't have gone around the animals because it was like all sheds, and we're having to make do. Now we can like really set a really high standard, but we can only do that with the help from other people because there's no money available to support us with the timber. And we all know what COVID did to the price of timber and materials, and everything went through the roof. So for us to do this project now is unbelievable. And I get visits from the northwest, the northeast. Prison staff come from, because they want to set it up, and they can't believe it when they walk in. They can't believe of what we've got, and I also, because it's the support of Bannerlewin. If we didn't have your support, we would never ever do it. And straight away you can see that it's going over that we can't do this because they haven't got that support of what I've got. So, and it's a shame, because it would be lovely for other prisons, and some are starting, but they're at the start of the journey where I was 5 years ago, and to where, I've got a year and a half left every time. But I can go.
Maybe not. Yeah,
But I can leave a little bit of a legacy that hopefully Adam will take on it and improve, and so pressure's on.
I know, yeah, the pressure is on. When Dave goes on leave, I hate it. I'm getting WhatsApps every day. Is everything okay? I don't like it.
But yeah, to answer the question that you do, it's so difficult. It's difficult to get any project off the ground with funding at the moment. Money is so tight. Government money is so tight that it makes it so difficult, and we are so grateful.
Do resettlement prisons reduce reoffending rates? Is there I know we mentioned before that figure. Could you just give us a bit more information on that one?
Obviously, that's what we want to do. We want to reduce
Yeah.
reoffending. That's what every prison wants to do. As a Cat C trainer, definitely. Ideally, it's the whole employment thing afterwards.
Yeah.
And what we find is that if you can put the strong foundations in place for them to gain employment, gain somewhere to live, and keep away from drugs, they are more likely to keep away from reoffending in the future. Yeah, but it's just trying to instill that kind of like, what is your life like before you came in prison? What's your life like now in prison, and what are your goals when you are released? And it's trying to get them to focus on what they can do better, how they can ask for support, how they can ask for help. Because if they don't ask for support and help, then the likelihood is they just go back to the old behaviours, and then the old behaviours end up going back to prison and reoffending. So hopefully with the strong programmes and asking difficult questions a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I was involved in programmes over 10 years ago, and you can see lads, and they've never been asked hard-hitting questions before. And from those questions, you kind of like getting to the core of the problem. and the complex characters a lot of times, and some of them been in a long time, so it's just working with them. And we find down the gym, don't we, and on the TC, that even just by calling them the first name, it breaks down barriers, and that's what we need to do. As long as we get those barriers broke all the way down, we can start getting to them and start speaking to them, find out what the issues are.
As a person.
As a person, yeah. And treating people as individuals.
Yeah.
You can't just say, right, well, you're all prisoners. We've got one way to work with you, and that's it. There isn't. We need to find out different ways. Like I mentioned about the neurodiversity, it needs to be where we're more specific to people and their needs.
And following that structure will give you the results that you're after, is it?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
The success rates for inmates on the outside world, because of this initiative, the programme, and the structure that they follow, what's the results when they leave prison and go back into the open world, if you like?
It's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
I think because the programme's relatively new, that I think now we're starting to we're building on the programme.
Yeah.
I think maybe like in a year, 2 years time, we'll be able to come back and really know what impact we're having. I know this has been running for 5 years or so, but it's been running kind of like, not mismatch has it, but it hasn't had the kind of like the running power as it has now, has it?
No.
So now we can really start working hard, getting lads through, and then we can see actually the results that are going to come from it.
Yeah, good.
So we have the figures for House Block 6. The TC is very successful on our key performance targets and indicators, which I've got here. We have our targets are 65 and we achieve 80 per year, and our completions are 42 and we're completing 47. So the success is there, and so lads are getting through and they're passing the course. So they're learning all the right habits, but it's like giving somebody the skills, but then not the opportunity to use the skills.
Yeah.
So when they get released, they get through the gate, they've worked hard, they go out with all the good intentions, they're saying the right things, they don't want to reoffend, they don't want to come back to prison. They get out then, there's no opportunity for them. They go for an interview, they've been to prison, they don't get it, they go for another interview, and then they drift back into that social scene that they've grown up in. Could be taking drugs, selling drugs, alcohol, violence, domestic violence, and all those drag them back. And I've seen lads who have been out for 10, 12 years, and I'm thinking, I've never seen them, and all of a sudden they'll come in on an induction. I'll say, what are you doing? They'll say, well, started selling drugs again, I had no job, I've got a family to support, and because selling drugs are the worst thing for our prisoners because they're so easy. It's so easy to make vast amounts of money, but with that comes the risk of getting a long sentence. Yeah. So it's difficult. We give them the skills set to go out with, but once you get through the gate, it's very difficult because the opportunities of work aren't there, or the training, and that's something that we keep. We have an employment fair where we have our gymnasium full of different companies that come in, but we only get a small percentage where they're given opportunities to work, and that's something that we have to keep working on and try and change the stigma around that. Sorry, I've been to prison, and they have to be honest on that interview that they've been to prison, and that could set them back with the opportunities that they need to. And so our percentages aren't what we want them to be. We would love to say, oh yeah, we have 20, 30, 40% of people who don't ever reoffend, but unfortunately, and because Teesside's are quite a hard town, we don't get those successes that we really want.
That's why we're quite passionate about trying to reach out to the community. So we also, me and Dave, run a rugby course with Doncaster Rugby Club that we got in touch with, and their owner, he has connections with EcoPower, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And it's having those outside agencies that can, if we can get them into the prison and see what we've got inside and what skills they've got, it's trying to get them to kind of like give them chances when they're released, isn't it? And without us coming out and speaking to you guys and going reaching out to other people, it's the chance of it happening is very slim, isn't it? So we find like we've got to work a little bit harder as well.
Yeah.
But a lot of it's done in our own time, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's, you know.
But EcoPower promise that they'll come into the next fair, and because they're based more in the Yorkshire region, Doncaster, around that. So they're willing to take lads from us and give them employment. Hopefully.
Good stuff.
That's what-
So from a business point of view, I think Van Leeuwen as a business, they take the environmental impact really very seriously, and without before my time, just as an example, we were filling one skip every month of waste timber. Now we supply these with probably a load per month, roughly around that. So we've reduced a company coming on site and taking our waste timber, which is now every 3 months. So as a business, it's a big cost saving. And I'm also trying getting other sites in the UK on board as well, which we get their waste timber and reduce their costs as well. I think it has been discussed in Basingstoke and in Bolton. It has been discussed. I'm not sure how this initiative was already up and running when I joined the business, and I'm not sure, like Dave said earlier, I think it was just out of luck how it come about. I'm not sure how we would go into a prison down in another part of the country and try and get this initiative off the ground around there. I'm not sure how that would work. Maybe Dave could.
Yeah, we could help. Yeah, definitely could help with that, and contact the prisons, find out what they're doing regarding animal therapy or any other projects that they've got, and help set it up.
So we have a site in Basingstoke and in Bolton. I'm not sure what the closest.
Just looking at the catchment area.
Yeah.
Bolton, there's quite a few, and there'll be Cat D and Cat C establishments where, because I've already had Kurt Lev contact me and said, Dave, come with a load of wood. so everybody's like, yeah, so I know that would be absolutely over the moon to get on board.
I think that the social impact as well. I know I mentioned before that we have an employee here with a family member in prison. So I think it's not just the impact for the inmates, I think it's a huge impact for the families as well. Understanding and knowing that their family members, their loved ones are obviously in jail, in prison, but they're being productive as well, and they're enjoying the time of what they're doing, and they're so passionate about it. When I met the few guys that I did a couple of months back, they're so passionate, and the respect and the trust they have for these two, I've seen it with my own eyes. It's incredible to see.
Just on that question, because we do it every time we come, we load in the van and we're just like, we're absolutely amazed at the quality of the wood. Even, it's been used with steel, some of it's damaged and stuff, but for us, we can use every single piece of wood, whether we chop it into bags of wood and sell it to the staff so I can get some animal food, or swap it for a bag of animal food, we're just absolutely amazed that Van Leeuwen is so generous to give us a wood, because that load of wood would cost us thousands to buy, and every piece of wood is like we
what can I say?
We just like look at what a lovely what a lovely piece of wood, but we saw we're over the moon to and to know that we contributing as well to, because we never ever thought about
the waste that you have to pay for.
Yeah, that you'd have to pay
a huge cost saving,
or the environment, and so it's opened our eyes to it as well.
Massively so.
And I think the more press or publicised this is, it is, and other companies should follow suit.
Yeah.
Because why burn wood and have it destroyed when you could help a project like this? There's thousands of projects out there, because we had Stockton Council come in and they walked on, they couldn't believe it, and I said, what we do, I said, couldn't you not take some of our prisoners out in the community and look after your parks and look after your animals in the parks and mend your shelters and stuff like that? And they were like, oh yeah, but obviously we can't get I was released like Kurt Lev can, but it opens up so many different avenues and opportunities for prisoners, but for councils who are all the councils now, we've got no money left, that they can't run their councils, but we could have prisoners going out in parks and making sure the parks stay open for young families, and families on the weekend like to push the kids around the parks to go and see the animals and just get out in the green areas, and we could help with that.
Sitting on our picnic benches.
Yeah.
But
that could come from the partnership with us into other prisons, and I think the more we publicise it, what we do together is
great. I think it's important to note as well that all the timber that we supply is what comes on our deliveries every day. We have like 5, 6, 7 deliveries, a full truckload every single day, and that timber comes into us free of charge, obviously with the packing of the materials. But if it wasn't for these guys, we would have to pay to get rid of that material because we just get so much of it. There's just a vast amount of it.
And we can't believe that. We're just like amazed. We're looking at the wood and we're like, look at this piece of wood and we get this piece of wood.
It takes about 3 hours to load the van up.
But it means so much to us. It does, and it's, you know, and I mean that, it means so much because you see the lads' faces, and we know, and we said it with the lads, they start getting depressed. We see as they're doing the projects, we've got a timber store, a shed, and it starts going down and down, and they're so worried, aren't they, that it's going to stop, you know, and it's like, and we'll pull up with a van, we've got some timber today, we'll pull up with it, and they'll be waiting to get in the van and empty it all out and stack it all on the shelves, and it lifts them. It's amazing, it really is.
Is there anything else we would like to discuss while we're here today?
Just a big thank you, Danny. That's just a big thank you to you and your company.
I just want to thank you too for everything you do. But today is most recently the whole business in the UK. We ran a competition for all employees' children, who all the kids designed bug hotels, and we had a little competition running in the UK. And our bug hotel has just been delivered this morning, so I'm hopeful that we can upload some pictures on the back of this interview. But thanks lads, appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
It's good to see you again,
Thanks,
and I'm sure it won't be long before we see you again.
Call you next month.
Still got that picnic bench to deliver next week.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.